Hi everyone and welcome to Rage Print. I'm Andy and this is episode 9. Wow, 9. Yeah, 9 of our Chopper build, and today we finally put Chopper onto 3 legs. And spoiler alert, you can just see him there. So why don't you join me and find out how we get to this point. Okay, so we're starting off with the 2-foot drives. As you can see, they're now fully built. We've got the shells, both shells. Just carefully placing those around, and they do only go one way round. As you see here, I'm just making sure that I've got them the right way around. And also, I'm trying to work out what to do with the plug. So I've left the original razor plug on, but it doesn't fit through that hole. So the obvious thing to do now is to just remove the plug, and it just leaves 2 spade connectors. They're quite easy to do. There's like a little latch on the underside. In fact, that one didn't even need it, the other one does. But yeah, just 2 spade connectors. Very easy to then snip off and replace with a different connector. But yeah, so just slots through there. So what Mike's instructions don't really explain is how to feed, how the wire should be sitting after that point, so as it goes down inside the shell. Ultimately it can only go one way, but he doesn't really explain it. The best way I found is just to it kind of sort of almost, I'm trying to think of the best way of describing this. It will go in one way, but it is very, very tight. If you get it a millimetre off to the side, either side of the perfect place. So you can see here, there we go, I've got it in just about. Yeah, and something you see there now is that I've realised that yes, I've taken the plug off, but I've also got to take the what do you call that? Ground loop? Yeah, I think it's a ground loop, isn't it? So it's a ceramic ring, isn't it, that stops the interference. I call it a ground loop, but it's probably not. Whatever it's called. Anyway, that needs to go. So that gets pulled off, and that creates the necessary space in order for the drives to actually fit inside the foot shell. Again, a bit of fiddling and they pop right off. So we start off with some upside down M3 square nuts, and they go in these 4 holes here. As you can see, there are bridging, printed there's bridging holes, so I'll get the board drill out in a second and just put the holes through. This also has the added effect of holding the square nuts in place. Usually, I didn't find this happens that well on the other set of foot shells. I ended up putting electrical tape over the holes to stop them falling through. To be fair, Mike does suggest using hot glue. I just really cannot be bothered to heat up a hot glue gun just to put in a couple of M3 square nuts. That's just laziness on my part. So as you can see, the wire fits through, and now the ground loop isolate is gone. It slots right in, and then this very easily just requires some M3 by 14. Mike would actually say M315, and they just auto-magically screw in. As you can see there, 1, 2, 3. And 4, and then that's the drives fairly secured. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are just 2 more screws left, and that's on the bottom of underneath the bearing. And these are the, oh god, I really need to write that back down. M320s. I really need to remark those. That's an M320, and that just screws into there. As you can tell, I heavily cut this time lapse because you don't really need to see me mess around with that. I used M325 on that side where the greebly is, simply because I found the M320 wasn't quite long enough. Your mileage may vary, you may find the M320 is enough, but that's it. The drive's in. Put the greebly back on, job done. And then just check it's actually all secure. So it's a very quick build, this bit. And then there's the second drive. Done. Yeah, I heavily cut it. Now we get to the important bit. Putting the thing together. We're finally going to get Chopper on 3 wheels. Finally. After, what? 9 months? So first of all, we take the battery boxes off. They're just going to get in the way for the moment. And these are the pins, the 3D printed pins. You can use, hang on, let me bring it up on here. So you can see there, that's where the foot hose goes. Yeah, you can use a 15mm bolt if you can find it. Sorry, a M15 75mm bolt. But basically the 3D printed bolt, peg, whatever you want to call it, goes through that bearing there. It will need sanding so it is mirror smooth for it to go through. So as you can see here, I'm slightly off camera, but I'm constantly sanding it, checking it fits. Obviously I want to be able to remove the pin easily enough to be able to paint it, because I don't want to try painting Chopper while he's all in one piece. So yes, it's got to go in, yes, it's got to be tight, but I don't want it to be immovable afterwards. Also for maintenance reasons, you might need to take Chopper apart. So again, I've cut this a lot because it's just me sanding like that repeatedly off camera, and you don't need to see that, it'd be very boring. Yeah, so we're just checking if the peg goes through. I think it's this point. No, doing some more sanding there. I start sanding the inside of the holes at the bottom of the ankles as well, just to make it a bit more, just to so it slides through a bit easier. As per the instructions, I printed these pins in PLA+. I could use PETG, but I never actually printed in PETG, thinking about it. There we go, yeah, I'm sanding the inside of the holes. It's using the high stress, or what I call the high stress printing option. So it's 7 or 8 walls and 20% infill, so it's solid as a rock. Saying that, I probably will eventually try and look for some M15s 75mm. There's a mouthful. To replace them, and that's just purely because I don't know. Maybe it's a mental block that 3D printed part wouldn't be as strong at that point. I mean, the whole thing's 3D printed. It's strong. The drive's 3D printed. There's a lot of stress going on there. So, yeah, I think I'll buy them, but I'll have them in reserve. So if that eventually snaps, I can just change them over. But I want to see how well those work. So you can see, I'm still messing around with getting the pin in on the first leg. And I think there we go. It's popped in at this point, so it slides in smoothly. I could use a screwdriver to pop it back out. So there you go, and it sits more or less flush on both sides. And that's it. That's it done. Put the battery box back on, and you can see the wire sticking up out for the drive, and then there's a hole there in the leg, and that'll go all the way up through the leg and then pop out through the big hole at the top of the shoulder, in the middle of the 4 small holes. But that'll be another wiring run, so I can disconnect the foot. So that's one leg done. And essentially it's repeating the process for the other leg. Just move the hose out of the way. So yeah, so again, it's just repeating the same process, just sanding it until it's smooth. Yeah, in this case it's definitely sanding. I wouldn't spray putty it to get it smooth, because you're making it thicker. You need it thinner at this point. So and I think the additional walls helps in that case, because you can confidently sand away the material and know there's still some wall material left. But once I knew what I was doing, the second one was actually a lot quicker. As you can see there, one of the square nuts fell out from the threading roll that goes through the leg. I'd also like to apologise now if my voice sounds a little hoarse. I've had that really nasty cold that's going around. Not COVID. Really nasty cold that's going around. There we go. And that's the second battery box on. So yeah, I had a sore throat. It's made my voice a bit hoarse. So there's both legs. The legs are attached to the drives. Finally, we're getting somewhere. And now, now, take the battery box off again. Why don't I do that? Oh yeah, this is why. So remove the shoulder greebly, and then you need these printed pins. I'd actually forgotten to print them, which is why I had to film this another day. These are inserts, which I suppose act like massive spacers or washers. So they protect the leg from the screw that's going to go through. And if they wear out, you can just pop it out and put a new set in. It's a really good idea. But anyway, they sit flush to the inside of the shoulder recess. And same on the other side. Once you remember how to remove that shoulder greebly. So again, just another 4 pop in there. They'll quick prints about an hour for all 8, hour and a half. Pop battery box is back on, and now we bring the body out. So we've got these pieces. Give me a second. I can't remember what they're called. Hub plates. There we go. And they protect the body from the washers and the wing nuts, and they just slot onto the inside. And as you can see, the shoulders have like a slot in there, like a small C section, right? So you can change it. M6 times 100mm. Yeah, so you can change the orientation from 2 leg to 3 leg. I'll show you again in a minute once we've got the legs on. Yeah, so 4 M6 times 100mm, and they poke in from the shoulder side. And as you can see, and then just poking through there. Yeah, I popped the shoulder greebly back on, just to try and hold the screws in place a little more while I line it up. So there we go. As you can see, if you undo the wing nuts, you could rotate the body. It's similar to how my R2 works in the styrene frame. And that would move it between 2 leg and 3 leg mode. So same on the other side. And then try and force it in my head and trying to work out how we go, what orientation should be for 3 legs. But so here we go, pop into what will be 3 leg mode, and surprisingly it's actually quite stable like that. Pardon me. Oh, pardon me, yeah. Okay, and then you need the whole hubs. There. I'm not doing well today with speaking. Those are the hubs. They now go on. He's actually quite stable in 2 of the 3 legs. Then saying that, there's nothing in the body. I'm sure if the batteries are in there, it would tip over quite quickly. So now we need some wing nuts. And they just screw onto the back of the hub plate, onto the screws, onto the bolts, whatever you want to call them. And that's it. The wheel's in place. The wheel? The leg's in place. Ugh. And the advantage of these hub plates is once you undo it a little bit, you're keeping all the screws in alignment as you move the body into the 2 or 3 leg mode. Then you can tighten it back up. Half tempted to copy the design and put them into R2. In fact, yeah, that might work quite well in R2. I might do that. I'll just blow them up a little bit. But there you go. And he's quite, as I say, he's quite sturdy. Just put the shoulder greeblies back on. I still need to chop those screws down, those threaded rods, and just check he's all secure. And right, these are the foot locks. If you're in 3 leg mode, you don't need the foot locks. If you're not using the 3rd leg, you need the foot locks, and they slot in under the ankles. Saying that, I'm wondering if they're supposed to be. I know we're going to put the caster on. Saying that, I'm wondering if they're supposed to be a foot lock for 3 leg mode, sorry. So M6 times 70mm. And a washer and a wing nut. Sorry, I'm just destroying the camera there. So, as I'm going to show you in a second, that slot there is where that part of the caster slots in. And that slots in quite nicely, and then that hole should line up. I say should. Yeah, there's your M6 times 70. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm wondering if there should be some foot locks for 3-leg mode, because when I was moving it around then, knocking the camera, the foot is wobbling around all over the place. I might ask Mike that actually. If not, I'm sure you could modify the 2-leg mode foot locks to work in 3-leg. So I found that the initial putting the screw in was a bit tight. I suspect after multiple removals and putting it back in again, it'll be a lot looser. Yeah, it's took me longer than it should have really. But once it's all lined up, it does just slot through. I think it's also just creating that thread that can then push it through. There you go. Put the washer on and your wing nut. And done. We have a rolling droid on 3 legs. Oh, and a knocked camera. There we go. So, let's go for a tour inside the chopper. Hi, R2. Right. I'm going to show you that. So here we go. So there's the wing nut, and there's the slot the centre leg went in. And as you can see here, that gives you your centre caster that moves around. And here you can see the hub plates, and you see it better on the other side with the white bit, but you've got the 4 screws. You undo them, you tilt the body, and you go into 2-leg mode. And I'll show you on the other side now. It's a lot easier to see the different slots. If we remove the greebly, you can see there's the bolts, and Mike's even designed some holes to accommodate the bolt heads. And that just pops on like that. IRT. So this is basically the inside of the chopper that we've got to work with later for adding the electronics. And just move them around a bit. And you can see there on the right is Chopper's head that's already been printed in one piece. But there, it's Chopper. We have a chopper on 3 legs that rolls. Just need some power in it. And oh yeah, before I forget, need to put the foot hose on. So this is the 3-leg foot hose version. I haven't printed the 2-leg, and it doesn't slot that way around. You need to start with the bottom and then slot it in the top, and it's sturdy. You know, you can yank it off easily, but it's not going to fall off. And we're done. So as we can see here, we have chopper on 3 legs. Oh, frog in throat. Anyway. Yeah, got chopper on 3 legs finally, and he rolls around. He's quite happy. I can't hear any binding in the drive, so greasing it was the right thing to do. And yes, it was in the instructions right down the bottom of the drive instructions page. I saw it afterwards. Yes, but yeah, he's done. Big mental roadblock. I was getting to the point of nothing seems to be going right. I'm always running into some sort of issue that shouldn't have been an issue, and I was starting to not lose interest. I started to lose motivation. But no, Chopper's now on 3 legs. He's rolling, aided. Sorry. Yeah, I'm happy. He's working. You can just sort of see here in the background. That's Chopper's head. It's all been printed in one piece. There's actually another bit under here, you can't quite see it out of camera. That bit, should actually be there. It was a failed print. Just needs gluing back together. We'll get around to that. And then you've got the dome ring mechanism, and that will all sit on there. And you've got the Lazy Susan here. Let's drop back. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And as you can see next to R2, you get a very rough idea of the height difference. I think Chopper's going to end up being about there on R2. So yeah, it's going well. I'm feeling more motivated now. Yeah, now that summer's over and the lights are drawing in, I'm feeling a lot more motivated. Great. So just move this back a bit. Hi. Yeah, I don't know which bit I'm going to do next. Probably the Lazy Susan and the tilt nod mechanism. So where Chopper does that. That's probably the next natural point to work from. But I don't know. I'll see how I feel. I might go back and do the utility arms on Chopper itself. But yeah, getting somewhere. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you're all doing really well, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.